Before we get into this video, I want to quickly address something that honestly reinforces why I'm making this video in the first place. President Trump recently posted racist AI generated imagery to his X account for the world to see, and it's shameful. What makes it even more disturbing is how easily racism gets memified today, flattened into jokes, aesthetics, and shareable content that people scroll past without questioning the harm behind it. That's exactly why I revisit racist advertising as art from the past to show even in earlier eras we always had the capability to depict human beings with accuracy and respect. The problem was never ability, it was intention. And seeing the same disrespect echoed now, just filtered through AI and internet culture, is disappointing, but not surprising. I just wanted to acknowledge that before we begin. Let's start the video.
The early 2000s was an amazing time if you were a kid, like me. Sure, the internet started to evolve beyond its infancy, but for me, it was mainly for all the cool stuff that rolled over from the 90s. One of these cool things was the VHS tape. All of your favorite shows and cartoons are stored on a tape that you could watch anytime you wanted. It was sort of like streaming before streaming, but you know, physical media. One that was always in rotation for me was the extremely Goofy movie. Some of the smoothest animation I've ever seen. Bravo to the animation team. It's a lost art nowadays.
Mommy, I didn't do it.
But there was one line that was a bit obscure.
Do you ever wonder why we're always like wearing gloves?
I never thought much of it until I got to college and had African American history as an elective. But that is true, they did have that on. All of them, since forever. Oh damn. I wouldn't call myself an expert on this, but I do hold a bachelor's degree in graphic design, a master's degree in digital marketing, and I'm black. I feel I have some credibility from my experience. Before we dive in, I want to show a few clips. Tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Here they come. Hurry up, Pat. We'd want in a minute. I'm hurrying. I'm going to Louisiana for my true love to see. Now it rained all night the day I left the weather. It was so dry, the sun so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry.
Now, how did that make you feel? Disgust, shock, anger, horror? Or maybe you're just lost. You never seen blackface before and this is your introduction to the art form. Or maybe you're familiar and your first thought was,
this is so long ago. Racism isn't that bad anymore. You're the problem.
well, go fuck yourself and let me explain. We all should be familiar with the Atlantic slave trade. Started in the 16th century, lasted into the 19th. I'll keep it brief, but you should have learned this in school. The slave trade brought over 10 million West Africans to the Americas, the Caribbean, and Europe as property. Some eventually lived free or gained rights. Some were indentured servants, but most fell under chattel slavery. One of the main factors, the rising demand for cash crops requires an unpaid labor force. Race was used to justify this. Even though slavery had always existed in the 17th century, race became a social construct, arranged into pseudo-scientific theories, creating racial hierarchy, falsely linking skin color, skull shape, and other physical attributes to intellectual and moral superiority. These false classifications, placing Europeans at the top, justified laws and social structures that denied rights to marginalized groups, systems of injustice that still echo today. Now, I could talk endlessly about the economics and politics of slavery and the brilliance of Black resistance, but we're going to jump forward to the Reconstruction era. I do plan on making a video on that soon, so hit the like button if you're down to see that, and hit the subscribe and notification button as well so you can stay in the loop. Minstrel shows began with the creation of the character Jim Crow by white performer Thomas Rice in 1828. These weren't harmless skits, they were performances built to mock black people. Songs, comedy, and dancing were all reinforcing the idea that black people were lazy, childish, and inferior. It was propaganda disguised as entertainment. Around the time the Civil War happened, then the Confederacy lost. Reconstruction tried to reintegrate the South, give free black Americans civil rights through new legislation and constitutional amendments, and transform the South's economy and society. Many white Southerners were angry, fearful, and in denial. And while white people were crashing out, black people were exercising their rights. This is when one of the most prominent stereotypes, the watermelon stereotype, was born. Watermelon was a symbol of self-sufficiency and freedom for black people, and still is today all across the world. The stereotype grew because free black folks was making a living selling watermelon. Racists twisted self-sufficiency into mockery, but the stereotypes didn't stop there. Everyone who wasn't white got a slice of the racism pie. Postcards, ads, cartoons, everywhere. Racist caricatures of the very people who built the US, all to make white audiences feel comfortable treating others like they were stupid and uncivilized. These images were crafted, sold, and passed down. The media didn't just reflect culture, it shapes it. Whoever can create media controls it. For example, The Birth of a Nation, a 1915 silent film by D.W. Griffith, one of the most influential and controversial films in history, based on The Klansman by Thomas Dixon Jr., set during and after the Civil War, following two families, one North, one South, as the nation struggles through war and Reconstruction. In the second half, it portrays Reconstruction-era black Americans, many played by white actors in blackface, as corrupt, violent, and dangerous, and depicts the Ku Klux Klan as the heroic saviors restoring order. It reshapes history to glorify the Confederacy and justify white supremacy. It was one of the highest grossing films of its time, estimated between $50 million and $100 million. That's $1.5 to $3.2 billion today. This was like Avengers Endgame tier for racists, shown worldwide. Imagine the global impact, how it shaped perceptions of race, even colorism in other cultures. But here's the thing, when the 20th century came around, those same ideas just evolved. As technology changed, so did the delivery. Radio, film, and later television all carried that same racial coding forward. In the early 1900s, blackface was still common in Hollywood. Think about shows like Amos and Andy, white men pretending to be black, building comedy off exaggerated dialects and stereotypes. When black performers finally got on screen, they were often forced into the same roles: servants, sidekicks, mammies, coons, bucks, or buffoons. And these shows ran on air well into the 1970s. Like, I can't make this up, the UK couldn't let this go. It wasn't just film, it was advertising. Racist caricatures sold everything from pancake mix to soap. Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, the White Dust Twins, Sambo, the Cream of Wheat Man. Each ad told the same story: happy, obedient black folks serving white comfort. They were marketing tools built on the white nostalgia for slavery. And the more these images circulated, the more they normalized racism. It was cultural programming, and that goes hand in hand with the business. Now, the mid-20th century, things started to change. The civil rights movement pushed America to confront its image. The media began reflecting that tension. You had movies like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and In the Heat of the Night, showing interracial relationships and racial injustice. But even with progress, Hollywood still struggles with who gets to tell the story. Black characters were often background noise or symbolic sacrifices for white redemption arcs. And don't even get me started with blaxploitation films in the 70s, even though I did enjoy watching them with my grandparents. On one hand, they gave us a visibility, pride, and power. On the other hand, they reinforced a lot of violent, hypersexual, and criminal stereotypes that white producers used to sell black is cool. So even progress came with strings attached. By the 80s and 90s, corporations started to realize black culture sells. At the forefront was musicians, actors, and athletes, along with sneakers, slang, all over ads, fashion, and TV. Often, brands took the culture without the people. They'll hire black faces to look more diverse, but avoid hiring black decision makers. This is when we started to see tokenism. The one black fan in the sitcom, the urban campaign for credibility, the diverse cast with no real depth. This even extends to the disposable black girlfriend trope in shows today. The lesson was, we're all equal now, while ignoring all the history behind the lens and the impact of Black culture. This is what we call post-racial marketing. The message wasn't, we fix racism, it was, let's pretend it doesn't exist. But racism doesn't disappear just because you made a cheesy ass commercial saying it's cool to have Black people around. We're not proud of it. And honestly, I feel the late 90s and 2000s were making genuine progress. We saw the internet grow from its infancy into the juggernaut it is today, along with the rapid change of social media, and this changed the game. Anyone can create, upload, and challenge the narrative. And we've seen real progress, from the Boondocks to Atlanta to Insecure, stories told by us for us. But even now, racism in media and advertisement hasn't vanished. It's easier to do that when racists are bolder than ever to let the world know that they're racist. They're making a living off of it. And you see it when companies profit off of diversity campaigns every February and June for Pride Month too, then go quiet for the rest of the year. Or how films and music center on Black trauma and get funded faster than stories about Black joy. That's not progress, that's repackaged exploitation. So yeah, from minstrel shows to modern media, racism didn't just survive, it evolved with every new medium. Every generation of Black artists, activists, and storytellers, from James Baldwin to Sesame Street to Aaron McGruger, fought to reclaim the narrative. Representation isn't just about being seen, it's about being understood. And it was refreshing growing up and turning on the TV to see That's So Raven, The Proud Family, Static Shock, Dr. McStuffins, and other media that portrayed us with authenticity. And my absolute favorite character was Gerald Johansson from Hey Arnold. No, not a Black show, but it gets everything right for me. And my dude was swagged out. The Scottie Pippen long sleeve, high top fade, sports, designated storyteller of urban legends. Fam, he even made Rhonda's old bougie ass cool list. And above all that, he was Arnold's best friend. I felt seen every time he was on screen, but more importantly, I felt understood. Thank you, Craig Bartlett, for being real, even to this day. And when we are honest about the world around us and our storytelling, we break the cycle. So the next time you're watching an ad, a movie, a show, or content on social media, ask yourself, who's behind the camera? Who's making decisions? Who's profiting? Because media doesn't just reflect the culture, it builds it. And it's up to us to decide what the culture looks like. Have a nice day and be kind. Thank you.